Hey up, it's your favourite unprofessional racist travel vlogger here, who so far hasn't really done anything other than just film his daily life and post it because that's easy. I kind of have ambitions of becoming a bit more of a travel vlogger and like doing videos like, how much does it cost to live here? Anyway, I'm going to make my first attempt at one today. Obviously, it would be a lot better if I put highlights of like, here's the fucking cafe I'm talking about, here's the gym I'm talking about. I'll do my best. I don't think it's going to be in this video. I think this is just going to be a telling you. I've done some maths, look. I've done all figures and stuff. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what the feedback's like. And maybe on the next video, which will be Vietnam, I'll put a lot more effort into it. Because these are the videos that travel vloggers get views on, so maybe I should give it a bloody go. Okay, so I lived in Indonesia, in Bali in particular. I lived in Jakarta for 4 days, which was mental. It was awful. I hated every minute of it. And then I moved to Bali, Ubud. In total, I was in Indonesia for 61 days. And I've had a look at my bank, and in total, in those 61 days, because I had a 1-day overstay. If you watched the last video, you'll know why, because New Zealand rejected me as I got on the plane. Bastards. 61 days cost a total was spent of £2,418. Now, when you arrive, you have to pay for a visa on arrival for your first 30 days, 25, and then the extension to make it 60 days took that to 50. I also got the overstay fine because New Zealand are assholes, and I had to book a last-minute flight to Vietnam. So that is a total of £205. So that takes my spend down to £220. I didn't buy much in terms of material items when I was in Bali. The only thing I can really think of was a bag, a new backpack. This very one here, actually. Ooh, it's worked out well. I like it. That was 40 quid, and I spent about £40 on YouTube equipment, this little clicky thing and the stand that I'm using now, and a few other bits and bobs, a speaker that doesn't fucking work. And then of course there's the major costs whenever you're traveling. I mean, visas and flights, they're significant, but the main cost is always accommodation. In Ubud, I think I got one on the cheaper side. I was basically spending a tenner a night. So obviously over 2 months, that's 600 quid. I mean, obviously you could do dormitories. I mean, I didn't even look in Ubud, but they will exist. You know, you could probably halve that if you were prepared to live in a dormitory, but that's just not an option for me. I could have maybe got that down to 500, but I went fairly budget. I got somewhere pretty nice. Obviously, channel fans will have seen where I stayed. But that was a major bulk of the cost. So my YouTube equipment, my bags, my visas, my overstays, my flight to Vietnam, my rent adds up to 885. So when you take that from the original 2,400 and something, we're down to 15,500. I then rented a bike, which if I remember right was 2.3 million Indonesian rupiah a month, which is expensive for long-term bike rental. Like when I was in Thailand, I was paying £55 a month. So almost double, if I remember right, which I'm pretty sure I do. So once we take the bike off the total spend, we're down to a spend of 1,350. Let's try and work out where that went. The only other things I can think of that I bought were taxis. I caught a taxi from, oh no, there's a fucking flight in there as well. I just remembered a flight. I caught a taxi from Denpasar to Ubud, and then back from Ubud to Denpasar. That's 20. Tobacco, I bought that kilo of tobacco, which was fucking ridiculous because then I was going to New Zealand, so I thought before they turned out to be anal cunts. And obviously they're super anal about how much tobacco you can take into New Zealand, so I ended up smoking very little of that and just leaving it, so that was a waste of 30 quid. And then I joined a really expensive gym, really nice, good quality gym. If I was a proper YouTuber, there'd be a clip of it here, but that's probably not going to happen. If I get good feedback in the comments, then maybe next time I'll try harder. That was expensive. That was 113. So that takes us down to 1,190. There was also, I've just remembered, there'll be other stuff that I'm forgetting, but there was also the flight from Jakarta, whatever it's called, to Denpasar, which was about 100 quid. So that takes it down to 1,090. So I spent £1,090 on living for 61 days, which if you work that out, if you divide it by 61 days, it's £17.86 a day. Now I did live pretty extravagantly in Ubud. I was under some delusion that this channel was going to take off, that my Bali content was amazing. I don't quite know why I thought that. But I was spending massages. Fuck me, the fucking massages. I had a massage pretty much every day. Let me add that into the calculations. Okay, so I've estimated I had 40 massages. It might have been 30, between 30 and 40. £6 a massage, I think it was. It was pretty cheap out there. So that's a total of 240, 190 take 240, leaves us an 850. 850 divided by 61 days, 13.93. £14 a day I spent. Now I did live quite extravagantly. I was having massages every day. I was joining a top gym. And food wise, I kind of bounced between whether I was having a scarcity mindset day or I'm manifesting electrode floating through infinity kind of day, and I can create whatever I want. But I was more towards the delusional, potentially true, who knows. I'm a powerful being and I will always be provided for and I can trust the universe. Pretty sure that last sentence is true. The last two sentences are true. So yeah, I was, you know, those that watch the content, there was that cafe that I went to, something like Livingstone, I think it was called, or Livestrong on the main road. Very expensive for Ubud, £6 a meal kind of deal. Now, if you want, you can eat in Ubud. So basically that money would have been on petrol, very cheap. $2 to fill your tank up, fill your scooter up. Lasts 5 to 7 days if you're just living in Ubud. Water, cheap, 50p a day, something like that, maybe £1 a day. I was drinking spring water out there. And then food. You could easily do all that for $4 a day if you just ate in Indonesian places and you were on a real budget. But I was living fairly extravagantly, and that still only added up to £14 a day. So really good value for money, really good lifestyle. When I compare it to the rest of Southeast Asia, it's definitely the most expensive place I've ever been. Considerably more expensive than Thailand. I've recently just spent time in Vietnam and Cambodia. Vietnam was 44 days. So if you extrapolate that out to the equivalent of 61 days, Vietnam would have come to 1,900 as opposed to 2,400. And in Vietnam, I travel all around Vietnam on a scooter. So it's expensive because it's all short-term stays. I spend relatively a lot of money on petrol, or I use a lot of petrol, I should say. It's still not a lot of money. So Vietnam could have been way cheaper. You know, if I'd have just stayed in one place, you could knock that down to 1,500. So basically, for the same time period, Indonesia comes in at £1,000 more. The same time period of 2 months, Indonesia comes in at £1,000 more to live in than Vietnam. And then Cambodia, even cheaper. So I've done 40 days in Cambodia so far, and I've spent just over 1,000. So if you extrapolate that out to another 20 days, if I was hypothetically to do that, then that would be 1,350 compared to the 2,400. I reckon Thailand would come out slightly at the top of that. I mean, it would probably come out about 2,000, something like that. It very much depends where you're living. I was living in Pai, which is a cheap part of Thailand. And obviously, once you live somewhere long term and you get to know all the local restaurants and the local cheap places, that makes a huge difference as opposed to if you're just traveling short term and you're just paying tourist prices wherever you go. So, the big question, would I recommend it? I spent 2 months in Bali. I got a good taste, certainly of Ubud. I didn't see any. I saw Lake Batu, I saw Denpasar, and I saw Jakarta. I would not recommend the capital of Indonesia that I've just tried to say, beginning with J. Let's go with Jakarta. I mean, some people love cities. If you love Bangkok, you might like it, but I hate cities. I can't stand cities. No matter what part of the world I am in, I will never, ever, ever, ever like a city. So to me, Jakarta was just hell, concrete, noisy, not good. Bali is just a whole other world. Like, you arrive in Bali and you feel it energetically. Now, honestly, energetically, I've never been anywhere so high vibrational. In terms of the people I met, in terms of the lands, in terms of like the appearance of the lands, like the green is vibrant, the rice fields, like you compare the rice fields from Bali to Vietnam, and like in Bali they are vibrant, they're alive, you can feel the spirit of them. Like in Vietnam they're just brown dead hay. It was a real contrast to go from Bali to Vietnam, and I love Vietnam. I absolutely love Vietnam. If money wasn't a thing, if I wasn't having to think about you know, not spending too much money right now, I would, and obviously visas, I would be in Bali. I would be on a long-term 6-month visa, and I would be, you know, doing the border runs and basically staying in Bali. I think it's the best country I've ever been to. I've travelled, I'm not sure, between 45 and 50 countries now. I've decided that Southeast Asia is 100% the best place in the world, and of that, I've never seen anywhere better than Bali. And the only countries that I haven't really seen yet are Singapore, Malaysia. I think that's it of the main countries in Southeast Asia, and that's something I plan on rectifying really soon. It's more than a high recommendation. It's this is the best place I've ever seen in the world. Really easy, really safe, really kind people, amazing food, just amazing. Like the food shits all over Vietnam and Cambodia. It really does. Like, just you know, Thailand and Bali are just up there in every regard. And the other thing about these places, you will find, I don't think you'll find anything 5-star in Vietnam, which is obviously part of its charm. That's not true actually. In Koh Lang, I find a golf course and a 5-star hotel. Obviously, I don't stay in it. I pretend I'm going to stay in it and do a video about it. So there are the odd 5-star luxury establishments in Vietnam, and the same with Cambodia. I found one in Cambodia. Again, I could only afford a smoothie in there. Absolutely stunning and gorgeous, but in general, you know, everything's like this, a hut, which is great. You know, I love that. I'm not knocking that in any way, but the difference with Bali or Ubud in certainly is you've just got the full range. You know, you've got this, you've got the street food sellers, you can eat for £1.50 a meal if you wish. But then you've got the luxury, you've got the 5-star, you've got the gym I went to. That whole complex, this gym I went to was in this complex that was built by a Russian that had everything. There's people with money living in that complex that literally never leave that complex. Like, there's 20 restaurants in there, there's shops in there, there's obviously amazing apartments. About 5 swimming pools, this incredible gym, there's a school, there's an international school in there, there's literally just everything you could ever wish for is in that complex. I do have a desire to go back and live in that complex one day. It's something incredible. But there's places like that all over Bali, like the restaurant I just mentioned on the main road in Ubud. Like, wherever you are, like you know, you've just got the full range. You've got it all, from the street food to the 5-star, and I love that. I love how it's got something to fit every traveller's budget. There's no doubt it is, probably along with Singapore and Malaysia actually, probably why I haven't done those two yet. But I don't know. But it's certainly, for me, it's definitely the most expensive place in Southeast Asia I've ever been. But at the end of the day, I was still, you know, living well and spending, what, 14 quid a day. So, yeah, I mean, compared to anywhere in the West, the cost of living is incredible. The downside of this life and this lifestyle, if you're not old enough to get a retirement visa, is the visas, is the constant moving around. Now in Bali, you can get a 6-month visa, which you have to renew every 2 months. You don't need to leave the country to do that. You renew it twice, 2 months. Yeah, you renew it twice, and then at the end of the 6 months, you have to leave. And I'm pretty sure you can get another one and fly back in within a matter of days. I don't know when that ends. The other thing to mention about Bali is they are on it with taxes. If you spend more than 180 days out of 360 days, you will become a tax resident in Bali. Apparently they're pretty on it. Those laws apply pretty much wherever. They apply in Vietnam, they apply in Cambodia, but I don't think it actually happens. I don't think they have the systems to catch you, essentially. That's what I understand. That's what my research tells me, which is basically just AI and talking to people. But apparently in Bali it happens. So that's something else to consider if you want to remain a tax-free digital nomad. As far as I'm aware, there's no ways of getting residency or citizenship, which is very unusual in Southeast Asia. I'm only really aware of Cambodia where that's possible. Yeah, I'm not talking about work permits there. I'm talking about residency and citizenship. I think you can get residency actually in. Oh, I'm not gonna go into it because I was gonna talk about Thailand, but I can't remember, and it's very difficult, very difficult. Cambodia is the only one where it's like semi-straightforward. That's my understanding anyway. But there will be more experienced people watching this and going, "That guy has no idea what he's talking about." So let us know in the comments if you know better than me, which I'm sure many of you will. So Bali is a magical place. I really fucking recommend it. There's a real, part of the difference in energy. So the most similar country I've ever experienced to Bali is Thailand. And Thailand is such a varied place. Like Phuket is a very different place to Pai. Pai, there's no go-go bars. In Phuket, they're firing ping pong balls out of the JJs. So, really diverse place in terms of different energies in different towns. But overall, Thailand, even in Pai, it has a very hedonistic energy. And I'm not talking about the Thai people here. I'm talking about the local. About the expats and the tourists. And actually, the Thais a little bit, like they really like a drink, which I didn't see too much of in Ubud at all. Yeah, I mean, Ubud is all 7 minutes. Like, it feels like your average, and again, I could be wrong, but it feels like your average Balinese person is much more spiritually aligned, or you could say, religiously conditioned. It depends which way you look at it. Whereas your average Thai doesn't seem to be as influenced by religion. You could say by restriction. So I think there is more of a drinking culture amongst the locals in Thailand, but amongst the expats, so obviously ganja is legal in Thailand. Drug culture is massive amongst tourists and expats. I mean, it really is. Most young tourists going to Thailand are going to get shit-faced and shag. Whereas in Bali, this stuff is obviously it's illegal in Thailand, but there's ways around anything in Thailand if you have money. Whereas in Bali, my understanding, or Indonesia, my understanding is there's no fucking, there's no second chances. There's no bribes, essentially. Again, I don't know for certain, but this is definitely the impression I got. But essentially, if you're caught with a tiny bit of even ganja in Indonesia, then you're looking at a really long jail sentence, like 20 years. So therefore, I didn't see any hedonism. Obviously, I saw bars and I saw people drinking, but I don't do that. I'm not interested in that. I'm a smoker. Didn't see it at all. Didn't smell it at all. I just don't think it's a thing out there. My understanding is there's certain islands, one called Gili Island, I think, where it's a bit more of a thing. But I just, even for somebody who is pretty dedicated to being a pothead, it just wasn't worth a risk for me. And it was actually really good for me. It was really good for me. It was my longest ever sober period. It was forced upon me, and I just accepted it and went with it. And it was great, and it taught me a lot. And now I'm at a point where I do have access to smoke, and I'm barely even smoking. I'm having a couple of J's at night and thinking, why am I doing this? And it was really Bali that set that foundation and allowed me to start to detach from it and consider a life without it. So the reason I bring all that up is, assess where you're at. Like, are you ready for a lot to come up energetically? Are you ready for Bali to rip you open? Because it will, because it has an incredible energy. And there isn't much hiding in Bali. There aren't all the substances to numb yourself out with. You're much more raw. If you're not ready for that, but you still want to experience this incredible Asian culture and still a very powerful energy, then it's Thailand. And then if you want something more raw and more like, Asia 20 years ago before it all became like geared towards tourists, then it's Vietnam and Cambodia. yeah, so I'm currently in Cambodia, mainly for financial reasons, but also just to experience it. I came here 20 years ago. So yeah, really, I feel like and that was like 7 days tourist, like we go boom, 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 we see Angkor Wat, we see this, boom, 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 whereas, you know, this is a very different experience, just living and going for a swim each day and that being about it. But yeah, loving it. I just love Southeast Asia. For me, it just shits all over everywhere else in the world. You know, I thought Latin America was going to be me, more rebellious, more alive was what I told myself, less submissive to government tyranny. I thought Latin America was going to be my place. And admittedly, the reason I left there was, you know, because some psycho pulled a sigh upon me and I fell for it. And I would probably still be there if that hadn't have happened. But really, that was a blessing in disguise, because it brought me Southeast Asia, which is just where I'm supposed to be. It's safe, it's easy, it's cheap, the weather is beautiful, the food is beautiful. Whereas Latin America is hard work, it's dangerous, it's expensive. The people aren't as friendly, although they are still very friendly in my experience. But yeah, there's just nowhere that beats Southeast Asia. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. But of all the places in Southeast Asia, yeah, I would definitely recommend Bali. Big time. Big love for Bali. Thanks for watching. Give me any feedback in the comments. I've never done a video like this before, so obviously, yeah, I should put all the clips in, but I just haven't, to be honest, I just haven't got the energy to do that today. And I don't think the video will get enough views to make it worthwhile, compared to like if I did a Not Today Satan video for example, my other channel, at NTS_news. But yeah, maybe the future holds more videos like this. Maybe I'll become a more typical travel vlogger. But I don't think so. I think I'm quite happy just sharing my daily life, accepting that not that many people watch. You know, it almost pays for my accommodation every day anyway. And then I've got Not Today Satan to earn a living on. So I'm quite happy with it how it is. But I do acknowledge I could put more effort in and make more money, essentially. But is it worth it? That's the question. Your feedback is always appreciated. Thanks to all those that support the channel. Big love, especially these guys. Amazing. Sarah Ordas, thank you for your recent donation. Massively, massively appreciated. Buy me a coffee. Patreon is down below. But just thanks for watching. Thanks for watching to the end. Like, that's fucking great. Especially if you click that thumbs up button and maybe the old hype. And then you could also click share and be like, look at this really cool dude. He's doing it. It is possible to leave the UK. Maybe.